Hi everyone. I just got out of the orthopedics doctor's office. I thought it would be appropriate to still be in my COVID uniform, which means my mask. You've seen me probably with other masks on before, but I figured for posterity, this is what a KN95 mask looks like. So if you're watching this and like the pandemic is come and gone, you can look back and be like, why does she look like a duck? You know, here's what it looks like. I'm stalling. Anyway, so when I go to regular doctor's appointments at places, they have me double masked with the blue masks. And here I can just wear one of these guys. And then I fold it in half and put it in my purse for next time that I need it. And when it gets all gross, I put another one on. I'm annoyed, and I'm glad that I'm annoyed and not crying right now, although I got good news. So here's my physical therapy, or not physical therapy, my frozen shoulder update. Apparently today's appointment was to determine whether or not I need surgery. I wasn't even aware of that. I saw the physician's assistant today. He spent a respectable amount of time with me that I covered even more things that I thought that I needed to. So I learned a lot today about shoulders and all these things that are connected. It's like sunny outside. I'm in the car, and that's why I'm like, oh. So I can't even remember. My head is starting to get really fried. I'm in general getting really fried. What are we? We're in May now, so I'm not going by dates, but soon it'll be 9 months post-op. And I know in the grand scheme of things, I shouldn't basically have any expectation at all until 12 to 18 months have gone by, because that's how long it takes to heal from a double mastectomy. There's a lot of sarcasm and cursing in this vlog that are going to be coming up. I'm just giving you a heads up. So today, part of why I'm so dressed up, you know, here's my, again, perfect example of what, you know, goes wrong. Hopefully this is how I look today, but see, my shirt is off-centered, it's diagonal, and oh, lo and behold, my bra is showing. I don't really care. Oh my God. I just don't care. I just don't care anymore. I'm someplace in the middle of like breaking down in tears and being so pissed off at the world. I've had enough. Like, I'm not giving up, you know, like it's not that kind of I've had enough. It's just like, I've had enough. I thought this was a kindness rock. It's just a rock. There's nothing even written on it. Oh my God. Ugh. Apparently there's a thing called smash rooms or rage rooms, where like you take a baseball bat and you're in this room and have all this like gear on and you can smash the shit out of stuff. I think that's awesome, but I don't want to ruin my shoulder. So I guess I should get to the point of why I'm here. Oh, why I'm dressed up, partly. Why I'm dressed up is based on my feet. I think I've shared before that the back of my right heel is killing me. Don't know why, and I don't even know which doctor I'm supposed to be asking why that is. I could have asked him, but I didn't. Yeah, the back of my right heel hurts, and my assumption is that it's, you know, joint pain, and joint pain just comes with tamoxifen. I was off the tamoxifen for however long, became like super crying all the time, and they put me on it, and the crying stopped, and then I started getting teary-eyed again, and I'm like, why am I crying? This morning I cried hard during meditation. That's a great way to meditate. And look at the calendar, and you know what's coming up? My Lupron is next week, so that makes sense. I get like super crying, you know, woe is me. I deserve my woe is me, but super crying the week before my Lupron. So my heel hurts, so again, I have to wear shoes that are dependent on what the heel is like. So I got these because they're like elasticy on the back, and see, and they can stretch. And even though they're a little bit small and aren't super comfortable, they don't hurt the back of my heel. And I needed to actually walk to get to my car to get to work today. So because I had to walk today, I had to put on those shoes, and they're dressy shoes. That's why I put on dressy pants. And then came the dressy shirt, which actually even had to be ironed. I ironed today. I don't iron. Oh my God. And then I ironed, and then like, here's how I walk around with like my pretty blouse with my bra showing, and everything is uneven and miscolored. And what I do have control over was I had my hair half curly, and I'm whipping out the freaking curling iron because I can, and I have control over that. So I whipped out the curling iron and did my own little flippity-doo, and yeah, put makeup on and stuff. You know, these are things I have control over. Because there's a whole hell of a lot that I don't have control over. And I know I wasn't a patient person before, but holy shit, if this is a fucking life lesson about you think you're patient, and then guess what? You had to be even more patient than you ever thought you had to be. So going to see the orthopedic doctor today. I actually didn't see the doctor, I saw the PA, which is fine. I did explain to him what happened because I haven't been there since I had my injection for the frozen shoulder. So he asked me how the shot was. Now, if you've watched that vlog, you know very well how the shot went for me. And if you haven't, go back and watch it. It wasn't a pleasant experience. So I'm like, well, I didn't fill out the survey that you guys emailed me, but I'm like, here's how it went. And I pretty much told him exactly how it was when I vlogged. I even dropped the F-bomb to him, like not at him, to him, about the experience. And I'm glad I got that out because, like, you know, I've talked about I feel like I need to treat myself like I'm my own kid sometimes, because if someone treated my kid the way that I was treated during that appointment, I would be like, listen, Tiger Mama. And that's what I did. I'm like, I'm here to defend myself, and like, this is how the experience was. And I don't want to go freaking back down to see those freaking people. And I assumed I would be like one and done. But turns out that's not the case, because he asked if I had the shot from behind or in front. And I said it was behind because, you know, I didn't get to really see the doctor. It was from behind. And he said that looking at how my arm is moving, I should be proud of myself, that I have come leaps and bounds from where I was last time with my shoulder. But it's not healed just yet. My hands are shaking. It's not healed just yet. I'll use my right arm. There's a bug in the car. It's not healed just yet. He said that that magic 18-month thing, fine, it takes 18 months to heal from a mastectomy physically. Well, guess what? It could also take 18 months to heal from a frozen shoulder. And at this point, there's so many major dates to remember. I don't even remember when my frozen shoulder started. No idea. Like, I truly have no absolutely freaking idea when my frozen shoulder started to know when I have to restart that clock and know, okay, I'll be healed 18 months from then. I know it was in August. Like, I don't even know when it started. And I don't have the patience or like give a freaking crap to figure out when it is. But all I know is I have to wait 18 months past the original 18 months of the 18 months from surgery. And I think that was when I started getting teary-eyed. Which the thing with the mask is that you you can hide a lot of emotion behind it, but I have a horrible poker face. And when I start to cry, my eyebrows do like this sad thing. I can't even try to do it now because it's just not what it looks like. But you can see from my eyes very clearly that I'm on the verge of tears. They get red and my eyebrows just make the, you know, sad. I can't make them do that. You know, that angle kind of thing, you know? So he moved my arm. Like, I mean, he asked me to move my arm myself. And, you know, I said I was at plastics last week or whatever it was. And, you know, I lift my arm up and it's like I'm lifting that whole section up. Because it's like my implant and all of that is like coming with me. And there's a car leaving next to me. And that's not supposed to happen. So he's like, all the gummy stuff that happens when you have frozen shoulder, He's like, that could be happening around the implant too. There's no way to know unless you go in. And that's when he said to me, like, you know, if we didn't see, or if they didn't see marked improvement in this visit today, they were going to schedule me for shoulder surgery, which I wasn't even aware of. And he said, given how you are moving, he's like, we're not going to do surgery. Thank God, because I postponed my, you know, fixing the reconstructive surgery because I didn't want a third surgery. I didn't even think that the shoulder would have been a potential surgery. And now, like, I don't want the shoulder surgery, if I do end up needing it, to then impact my fixing the reconstruction, you know, surgery. My body has just been through a freaking enough. Oh my God. Oh my God. So, positive thing is, so I moved my arm myself, showed him what I could do. Like, oh, look, I can put my hand behind my back. And look, I can raise my arm up. But when I do that, I'm like, it hurts underneath my right boob. And I said, it feels like someone took a huge wad of gum and just chewed it up and then shoved it underneath my armpit. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a breast, like, surgery thing. I don't know if that's because of the lymph nodes. I don't know if that's because of the reconstructive part of accepting the implant. I'm like, there's so many freaking ass factors. I can't keep all this shit straight. It is like almost a full-time job to have to keep track of all this shit. See my eyebrows? Because I'm going to start to lose my shit. It's just a lot. And I want to, like, go home and I'm like, I'll have ice cream. I'm like, I don't want ice cream because I'm starting to lose weight. And I want to keep doing that. And my body is just, like, not liking all the dairy either. And I don't want to, like, reward myself all the time with food. And, like, I don't want to, you know, oh, I'll just have a glass of wine or something. Because alcohol also increases your risk of breast cancer coming back. And I'm not a pot person. And I'm like, what do I do? I can't exercise or go for a long walk because my foot hurts. I have an appointment tomorrow with the oncology psychologist, and that'll be a fun one. Because while this guy, the PA, is telling me, like, how great I'm doing and how great my arm is and how proud I should be of how far I've come, and I have to stop and be proud of how far I've come. But it's such a long road. You think you get rid of the cancer, you get put on the meds, and, like, you know, you're good. But it's not the case for some. Sure, everyone's different. And I'm like, it makes me mad at my body. Although I shouldn't be mad at my body because it's working so hard. But I have to cut it some slack. Because it is working so hard. I've been watching my blood pressure and all of that. Sorry, I just needed to pause there because it's just a lot and it's hot. Okay, sorry. So I'm not having surgery. I'll continue with PT. The biggest thing he said was, like, my body will guide me as to what's too much and what's, you know, okay. So I have to listen to my body. Like, I haven't heard that enough, but I have to listen. It's the only way to know. Like, when I ask, like, what can I do? I'm like, it's getting to be warm out. I'm like, tennis is starting. I told him I'm playing tennis on the Wii. And he's like, that's a great way to get into things. And I'm like, but I want to get out there and smash some tennis balls because I'll feel better. But I don't want to injure something more. I have to find a patient friend to go with me to the tennis courts. Because my playing tennis could be a matter of I swing the racket 3 times and make contact, and that'll be it. And he said to me, he's like, don't do stuff overhead. He's like, you know, if you're going to do anything, shoot a couple of ground balls and have that be it. He's like, you can't overdo, because your body just has this inflammatory response, which will just make things worse. So clearly I don't want that to happen. Kayaking, I think, is out of the question right now. Because the places that I've got, like last year where I went to kayak, and they're mostly off of docks and stuff, so you have to be able to support your body and lift yourself up to get out of the kayak, and I can't do that. I know they have kayaks where you use your feet. Sorry, my arm hurts. I know they have kayaks where you use your feet to paddle, so I might need to look into that. I'm frustrated, and I needed to start being more grateful and more patient. Like my life before, it was very hustle bustle. As a single mom, as a parent anyway, I feel like it's hustle bustle. And then when you're a single parent, it, like, you know, doubles that or triples, whatever. But it's something like you want to do. It's just, it's a lot on your body. And let me focus back, sorry. Because I want to do these to help people, aside from my own venting. Or not venting, just like sharing. So he's reminding me, and he showed me pictures and stuff about, like, you know, how your shoulder is made up, and it's like, you know, your shoulder isn't just this one part, and he's explaining to me, like, how the joint works inside of your shoulder and how the rotator cuff is involved. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with my rotator cuff. I had an MRI done. There's nothing wrong with my rotator cuff. Like, this is very classic case, frozen shoulder. And he even said too, he's like, you know, there's a very large amount of I mean, women and men, but mostly women, that have frozen shoulder after reconstruction. Whatever. Like, I guess, like, I didn't even know what that was, and you know, they didn't give you like a manual of, like, here's what could happen, you know. But he was explaining how everything was connected, and like, I felt like I learned a lot when I was there, which was very helpful. You know, I even asked about, like, purses. I'm like, I'm sick of wearing a crossbody purse. Like, you know, can I wear a backpack? You know, we're going to be going to Germany in the summer, and I'm like, you know, what restrictions? You know, no, you have no restrictions. But it's like, yeah, the doctor might say you have no restrictions. Your body tells you something totally different. And your body is smarter than your doctor is, because it knows what's going on inside of you. And it's going to respond in a negative way if you're doing too much shit. I also brought up work, because I said I don't understand why, like, when I work from home, you know, I'm working off of a kitchen table. I mean, I do have a desk I could use, but it's just, I have more space on the kitchen table, and I'm like, you know, I'm just leaning my forearms on the table to type on a laptop. And I guess I take more breaks because I'm home, but I said, you know, when I'm, like, at the office doing my job, I'm like, I can't type for more than, like, 2 hours, and I take breaks or something. But if it's like 3 hours in, I'm like, my arm is just, like, so heavy. I have to stop. I have to sit crisscross applesauce with a lap, like, desk thing, like a lap pad thing, and just use my laptop. Normally I have 2 screens, because it just, my arm feels like it's 1 billion pounds, and it's just uncomfortable. And he's like, that's good. So then you know what you need to do, and that's working, so keep it at that. I'm like, but, you know, when am I going to get to the point where I can work 5 days a week inside of the office, you know, and working like a normal day like everybody else does, you know? And he's like, that might not be for a long time. And they're more than willing to, like, you know, have a doctor's note written or something about, like, me not being physically there 5 days a week. Sorry. Not sorry. But I just like want to go back to normalcy, and you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I wish I could be a better example for all of you. Like, yeah, I got this. There's so many people out there that are breast cancer survivors that vlog, and they're like, yeah, it's all great, and they're all make-upped and done up, and I guess I'm kind of done up today, but like, you know, it looks, I don't know, like I'm in a car just holding my phone. You know, I don't have any bells and whistles with this. I just hit record and then here we go. You know, and I've talked before about like the life lessons of things, and I totally get now, still reading that book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. It's an amazing book. It really is. I'm reading it slowly because I'm absorbing so much of it. And I actually whipped out the Bible because they were talking about the book of Job and all the things that happened to him and how he was tested and all this stuff. And you know, it's like, why? Like, you think, what did I do wrong? Why is all this stuff happening? You know, this morning I was reading some while I was having breakfast, and they were talking about, like, sometimes there's just no reason. Sometimes, yes, maybe there's a lesson to learn, you know? Slow down, listen to my body, advocate more for myself, be kind to my body. But sometimes shit just happens because shit happens, and it's random. The analogy that they used, the book isn't about cancer at all. It's just like in general when bad things happen to good people, and like to find good, whatever. But they're talking like as an analogy, you know, when two people are walking across the street or something, and then, you know, one of them stops to tie his shoe, and the other person gets hit by a car in the crosswalk. But the fact that the guy like stopped to tie his shoe and then didn't get hit, is that on purpose? Like, was it meant that he was supposed to need to tie his shoe, or did he just need to tie his shoe? And like, just random that one person gets hit and one person doesn't. And while I like to make, not like, but I've gone through a lot of self-development stuff, like personal and professional development stuff, like development in like me as a person and me as like in a you know, what do I want to do for the rest of my life as a career or whatever. I get the brain fog too. It's like, what the hell was I just saying? It's just so much. Your head is just like overloaded. But like, so I did a lot of work before. I've talked about Landmark before, you know, read books and all this other stuff. And you try to find meaning in so much, like why? Find meaning. And sometimes there's meaning and sometimes there's not. And it's funny because any of my friends watching who have done the forum will get a kick out of this, because the way the Landmark forum works, the forum itself, like Landmark is the corporation, but the way the Landmark forum is a weekend like workshop kind of thing, I guess. Life-changing weekend is how I'll phrase it. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then a weekday night. And that's what the Landmark Forum is. And there are some that are in person right now, and there are some that are still through Zoom. Anyway, whether there's a spoiler or not, whatever. I mean, you can look this stuff up. But at the very, very end, after a very, like, really get to know the ins and outs of you and your life and everything, like, everything just comes to the forefront. And then at the end, they're like, life is empty and meaningless. And it's empty and meaningless that it's empty and meaningless. And after all that time sitting in that room for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a weekend night, I'm like, the fuck does that mean? I'm like, after all these big breakthroughs and stuff that I've gotten out of this weekend and all this stuff that popped up and these phone calls that I made, and I'm like, life is empty and meaningless, that it's empty and meaningless, that it's empty and meaningless. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means. And I think I wasn't supposed to get what it means. Needless to say, I took a few seminars and the advanced course and the introduction leadership program. I took a few courses after that. And I think it wasn't until the advanced course, it was another course I took, but there was somebody in the course with me who was in my forum. And it was at that either seminar or the advanced course, I think it was a seminar, where I finally got it, like what that meant. And all of a sudden I'm just like, oh, like I did that out loud. And she's a friend of mine. We're friends on Facebook, if you know. First name starts with an A. She's sitting next to me and she's like, now you get it? And I'm like, yes. Slow on the uptake. It's hard to see things. It's hard to see what you can't see. And I have to say that overall Landmark was the most challenging and the most eye-opening work I've ever done on myself. Confronting, but ridiculously empowering too. Anyway, so that's, I feel like, very much so a lesson that I had to learn from all of this stuff. Like, not that life is emptied so much. I still have to work my head around that. But about things being meaningless. Not everything means something. And you don't have to judge the fact that not everything means something. That's at least how I read the whole empty and meaningless thing. There isn't meaning to everything, you know? Why does my hair look super red today? It doesn't matter. When you've gone through cancer, there's a lot of shit that just doesn't matter anymore. Not in a give up way. It's like when I hear people bitching and moaning about certain things and I'm like, oh my God, there are so much larger things you can be bitching and moaning about, but look at all that you have. And maybe you're all saying that to me. Like, she's bitching and moaning, but like, look at those spectacular eyebrows. I plucked them myself. Not everything has meaning. So, coming back to the frozen shoulder things, I want to finish up. I'm like half in the sun and I'm like baking. A weird thing is, since I've been on the tamoxifen, my hot flashes have gotten much better. I don't know what the hell that's all about after the week that I wasn't on them. So where am I now? So continue with physical therapy. Shocker. I thought that, oh, I have like so many sessions that insurance covers and then that'll be it. I don't think I'm leaving physical therapy anytime soon at all. I would not doubt for a minute that I will probably be in it for most of this year, 2022. And that's okay. I actually, even though like you saw me on the couch, like, you know, physical therapy, honestly, is the highlight of this entire adventure for me. Maybe when I'm done, because I don't need to give you too much information, but the place where I go for physical therapy, I would rate with 100,000 stars, because they're like a family to me. They're my cheerleaders, and they make me feel like me again. And I have to say it of everyone, like, I love going there. So I don't mind having to continue going there, and they'll figure it out with insurance. And I will have to have a chat with my boss to tell him, like, I've got to work from home, continue to 3 days a week, or 2 days a week, because I can't be in here all the time. It's not working for my arm, and I have to listen to my body. Whether I have a scheduled PT session or not, like, I can't do 5 days a week in the studio. My body's telling me no. So I go back to Orthopedics in 4 to 6 weeks, which is, 4 to 6 weeks, to check in to see how things are going. And he said that, like, clearly my range of motion is like way better than it was. He took my arm too and was moving it in certain places so that he could, like, he had one hand, I think, on my elbow and one on my shoulder, so he could feel how things were moving. And he was so happy with, like, my progression. So I just wish I could go into his head of what he thinks of me, because it's a lot. It's a lot. So he moved things around, and he said there have been studies apparently that when you have the steroid shot from the back, it sometimes is not as effective as if you have it from the front. The one that I had in my shoulder was ultrasound guided. You can watch a vlog on that because it was not a pleasurable experience. This guy today said, like, you don't have to have it ultrasound guided. It doesn't have to be in one particular spot. Like we did this, obviously it helped. But he said, you know, next time that you come, basically expect to have, not expect to, but I felt like he was saying expect to have like another go at the cortisone shot or the steroid shot, whatever, from the front. Another option that people can do is be on anti-inflammatories. That gets complicated with me because of other issues that I can't be on anti-inflammatories, at least not long term. And if we get to that discussion, I lived for, what, 40 some years without knowing I had fibromuscular dysplasia. Who knows, even when I first started having it. You know, like I can't go on roller coasters anymore, but I rode on a fuck ton of roller coasters before and had FMD. When I found out I had FMD, I actually went to a carnival and went on like as many roller coasters as I could because I'm like, screw you, there's nothing wrong with me. And clearly I'm still here, but probably wasn't the wisest thing to do. If you don't know what FMD is, go look it up. Actually, you can go on Neighbors to Know and listen to my story as I interviewed Pam Mace, who runs the FMD Society of America. And actually, May is FMD Awareness Month. What do you know? What timing? Typically, I'm in Cleveland right about now because they have an annual meeting, but with COVID not happening. I think I should probably look it up, but I haven't heard anything, so I imagine it's not happening. So that's where I am with my shoulder. Going back in 4 to 6 weeks. Probably get another shot. But I'm at the beginning of this road where I thought, like, this was going to be my follow-up. See you never. Not the case. So this is where I am. So I have to do gratitude. I will say that I am using my gratitude journal again, or at least verbalizing gratitude. I am on, I think, 6 days in a row of waking up and meditating. Yay. Because it definitely changes my mood for the day. This morning's was, it was about anxiety. And man, I used the Calm app. The thing about anxiety, it was like a 13-minute guided thing. I was crying like hardcore. Don't know if it was her talking or if it was like just timing because of, you know, the Lupron being next week. Anyway, so that's where I am now. Next week, I have my appointment with my breast surgeon, who I have not seen since surgery. I'm looking forward to that. And there's probably other stuff that oh, my Lupron. That actually all happens on the same day. And I have a follow-up with, can't forget this before I hang up with you. It's funny that we say hang up, because like now you're not hanging up anything, you're just like pressing a button. I'll tell you before I press the button. So I have it, after I have my Lupron next week, I have an appointment with the oncology nurse to touch base. Because I had shared a couple of days ago or vlogs ago, whatever, about them telling me that, like, when I said, here's all the physical stuff that's going on, and I said, you know, I'm sad and I'm crying a lot, and it's just, all this is just a lot. And the response was, we think that maybe you should see an oncology psychiatrist. And I'm like, A, I thought I was. And B, like, prescribing a medication, I think for me here is like a way of covering up other shit going on. Like, you're going to put me on it, like, I don't know, what would you put me on? Antidepressant or something? Because that will help me not feel the fact that I'm sad because my shoulder hurts. Like, no, I want to focus on my shoulder healing. And I mean, you know, I talked in that one vlog about, like, I'm not dissing mental health stuff at all, because it's, mental health is very, unfortunately, prominent in my family, and What I will say is I think that the people that don't go to therapy are the people that need therapists the most. Having said that, like, I have been in therapy for quite some time. And I guess I still am now because I talked to the oncology therapist. I have to ask him, like, what he does because I thought he was a doctor. But for me, I don't think adding on an extra medication is going to solve the problem. I think it's actually only going to make things worse. Because I don't handle medication well, clearly. But when I was in there seeing the orthopedic physician's assistant, and he could tell that I was getting, like, teary-eyed, you know, and he's telling me, he's like, look how far you've come, and, you know, like, you've grown leaps and bounds. He's like, I'm thrilled to tell you that you don't need to have surgery, because that's why I was there. And I guess at some point I'll be jumping for joy about that, but I'm just not in that place right now. But that's what I have to remember. I have to remember how far I've come. I have to remember what a badass I am. I did fill out the application to get my wrist tattoo, because damn it, if I'm going to have anybody poke into me, it's going to be something that I want to do and that I have control over, although she's the one with the needle, but you know what I mean. So, yeah, so that was my trip to the Orthopedics to follow up with this frozen shoulder guy. So, gratefulness. I'm grateful that it's, like, warm outside. I don't know how summer's going to be with hot flashes. Most of the, like, I had my surgery at the end of August, so I don't really, I feel like I was inside a lot, obviously, because I couldn't, like, move around a lot to go outside. I wasn't going outside much just because I physically couldn't get down my stairs very easily. But I'm grateful that it's warm out and that it's, like, relatively sunny, because it makes me feel better and I'm less achy. I am grateful for my hair because, like, it has a mind of its own, just like my body does. And today it's actually looking kind of cute. So I'm grateful for my hair. And I'm grateful that I saw a medical professional today who actually acknowledged all the things that I brought up as being valid and making sense. And I just, you know, I just felt like I was heard. And I'm just so grateful that I had that experience with him. Don't ask me what his name is. I have no idea. I can't even give him a good rating because I don't remember what his name is. Which is so funny because when I was here for the shot, like, I knew what his name was and I couldn't see his face. There's just something about this place. I don't know. It's funny. What else am I grateful for? I'm grateful that I will be going to see my son in Germany soon. While we're not going to be there for very long, it will be good to see him. Talk about unconditional love. This woman's staring at me. Should I stare back? Stare. Stop staring at me. Grateful for my sense of humor. I'm grateful for the patience that my kids have, because this is no walk in the park for me. And, you know, if they happen to step into the wrong conversation with me and I'm, like, walking out of an appointment that didn't go well, you know, they just remind me that, like, you know, why don't we talk tomorrow? I'm like, okay. And I look at the calendar and realize, oh, next week is Lupron. One thing that I've been doing too, which has been helpful, in the Calm app, or you could do it wherever, but in the Calm app, it does like a daily check-in with how are you feeling. You know, relaxed, anxious, happy, sad, ecstatic, whatever. So you click on your little smiley face thing, and then you click on, like, the reasons why: health, diet, family, friends, work, you know, whatever. And you click those things. It's a great way to log, like, how things are going, because I'll look back at those. That's how I realized the pattern with the Lupron, because I'm looking back and I'm like, oh, happy, 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 or happy, 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 not happy. happy, 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 not happy. And I'm like, what's happening there? What's the pattern? The pattern was, it's right before the Lupron injection that I started to get really emotional. So we'll see. I don't know. All right, I'm sweating my ass off. So I'm gonna go. Thanks for tuning in. And when you stop listening to me, think of things that you're grateful for right now. Like what makes you awesome. Not what other people say about you, like what you think is awesome about you. People can have their own thoughts about you. You have to focus on what you think about you. So as soon as you stop listening to me, you know, just pause for a little bit and just like ask yourself, like, what's awesome about me? And list 3 things. You can list 20 if you want, but at least 3. Go.